Hi there, welcome to Elm Colors. I'm Erica. Today is part 2 of the September color along. We are coloring a page from Fairy Miracles by Klara Markova. And we started this beautiful fox page here. Today we're going to do some work with the colored pencils. Some of this work I'm going to be doing on screen for you, like to show you kind of the steps of how to do what I'm gonna do, and then the rest of it'll be mostly off screen. So depending on how that goes will determine how long this video is. I'm hoping it's not too long because I know sometimes it's easier to watch the shorter videos, but anyway, so I think what I'm going to do first, I'm going to zoom you in a little bit. We're going to work on some of the stuff down here. So the leaves, the berries, these shrubs, maybe add a little bit more definition to the water here as well. And the rocks and like the greenery and stuff. So yeah, we'll focus on that first, see how we're doing on time. And hopefully we'll be able to get this done in this video. So I'm going to zoom in. I will talk to you again here in a second. All right, so for the berries, we're going to start with those. We're going to use these 4 colors. So I have Caput Mortuum, I think that's how you say it, Vermillion Red, Peach Orange, and the Blush Pink. So these are the pencils here we're going to be using. So to do the berries, all I'm going to do is I'm going to take my darkest color, and anywhere where Miss Markova has already added in the shading areas, I'm going to just add a little bit of dark right to that. And if you remember from last video, we do have a little bit of a very light pink marker on the berry. So that's going to give us a little bit of a base to work off of. And all these berries are going to be colored exactly the same way. So I'm just going to do this one for you, and then I'm going to have you guys kind of go off and do the rest on your own. Okay, so next I'm going to use the Vermillion Red, and I'm just going to pick a few berries that I want to be this kind of orangey color. It's a good orange red color for sure. Just pick a few berries here and there. I'm going to shade those with some peach orange. And I'm going to also use the peach orange on the other spots where I have done a little bit with that dark red color. Okay. And then I'm going to take my blush pink, and that's just going to kind of blend everything together the best I can. And I can come back in with this dark color again and add more shading in. The Kohinoor sometimes give me a little trouble when I push too hard, so I do have to work in lighter layers to make sure that I get the color payout that I want. But thankfully, Klara's paper is really good. So yeah, so that's basically what the berries are going to look like. I like that. Blend that out just a little bit again with the blush pink. But I added that orangish red in there to make it a little bit, little warmer instead of just like a cool pink berry. Okay, so that's how all the berries are going to look. I am going to grab my green marker that I've used on all the other greenery and just go ahead and do the tip of the berries with that marker. So that'll be the same all the way through. All right, let's work on a leaf. So if you remember from my inspiration image, I did have like some greens mixed in with pink and purple colors. I think I'm going to mix mine with a little bit of orange and a little bit of pink as well on the leaves for me. So I'm going to grab a few colors. All right, so for the leaves, this is what I'm thinking I'm going to be using. The light ochre, the Vermillion Red, apple green, meadow green, and avocado green. I'm going to be using these on the leaves here. I'm going to first pick out the areas that I want to be the lightest. And this yellow is actually going to be the connector color. So I'm actually going to come in with this Vermillion red and add in that color in the areas that I want to be that color. So typically that's going to be around the edges of leaves, sometimes kind of meandering inside, but it's just randomly kind of wherever I feel like it. Like there's no rhyme or reason. You can put multiple spots on the leaves, but I typically go from the edges towards the inside. So then I'm going to take the yellow right next to all of that red. That's going to be my in-between color. I'm going to use the apple green. We're just going to focus on this leaf so I can kind of show you what my idea is here. All right, and then I'm going to use meadow green, and that's going to be the most of the leaf. And again, working in light layers so that I can make sure that I get enough shading and stuff. I'm going to use the avocado green as like the really dark areas. When I do leaves, I pick one side that has the center part of the leaf that has a little bit of it's going to have the shadow side on it, and then the other side I'll kind of show you here in a second what I do with that. I leave a little bit of a gap, so there's just a tiny little gap between where I'm drawing the line and the actual line art, and then I'll still kind of shade along the vines or the veins that are coming out from there. Okay. All right, so now I'm going to use my apple green and I'm going to blend over all of that. Anywhere where the apple green was, kind of move it into the yellow a little bit. Come back with the ochre color. Bring some of that in, and then just make sure that I have a nice... You know what? I might actually bring in, so we're getting into 6 colors for one leaf. I might bring in some of that Caput Mortuum as well, just along the edge. Just along the edge there. Okay. All right, I like that. One more time with the apple green, just to make sure everything's nice and blended. Now that center line isn't quite as dark as it was, so I can come back in and add a little bit more definition in there. I think that's what my, that's what my leaves are gonna look like here. So all the leaves are gonna kind of be, or are going to be similar to that. Okay. Let's move on. I'm going to show you just a couple of things, and then I'm going to go off screen and kind of get some of this done. So the other thing that I will kind of show you is just like with all of the greenery that's around, so all the little pieces of grass that are sticking up here and there, I'm really just going to take the avocado green, which is this one, and I'm just going to add in some shading. So anywhere where things overlap, anywhere where the center part of the leaf is, and then I will also kind of shade a little bit on the outside of that leaf. I hope that makes sense. If it's wide enough, it'll be all right. And again, I'm not pushing hard, I'm just adding a little bit of color here and there. All right, so that'll be basically what I do for all of the greenery around here. I might add in a little bit of yellow to parts of it, maybe. We'll see. Let's see how this looks. I'm going to add in some of this yellow ochre, or light ochre. Add in a little bit just to kind of give a little bit of variation to the leaves. Like, it doesn't change it that much, but then when I come in with the darker color and add in the shadows, It's nice. Little variation on the leaf instead of just solid green. And on areas where I might not have gotten enough marker, I can use the apple green to fix that. Okay, so yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and finish off these leaves, the berries, and the rest of the greenery up here. And then we will come back and work on another section. Okay, so here is the result of all of the blending with the pencils on the berries, the leaves, and these leaves around here. We're going to focus a little bit on the water down here. I am going to, first, I think I'm going to work on the water first. So I'm just going to grab a couple of blues. I'm going to grab the ice blue. Actually, I might just work with that one at first to see. So this is number 131. I'm going to just kind of extend that color that I've already put down with the Neo colors just out a bit and kind of moving it into some of the areas that I definitely want more blue. I didn't mean to put quite so much of the ochre and the yellow. I wanted hints of it here and there, but it definitely turned into more of a covered pond. I didn't want it to be like lichen covered or anything. Is that the right? No, that's not the word. Algae covered. That's the word I'm looking for. All right, so just grabbing a few more blue areas. I am going to do some blue right around the edges too. Okay. There's that. And then I'm going to, for the shrubs, I'm going to use some of the same colors. So I have the vermilion red, the apricot orange, the apple green, and I think I'm just going to go with the meadow green for this one. And so again, just kind of starting with where I want that, what is this color? Vermilion red to kind of show through. And I've already have that a little kind of mapped out with my Neo colors, but this is just kind of solidifying the colors and making things a little bit darker because it did kind of blend together a little bit more than I had planned on. So yeah, so I'm just going to do this. I'll speed it up for you guys so you can see, but this is just going to be like a quick blending of all the colors that I'm going to use. I'm also going to bring in some of the ochre too. All right, so I'm just going to keep doing this. I'm going to speed it up so you guys can see, and I'll talk to you again here in a second. All right, and then this leaf down here, I'm going to color similarly to what I did with the leaves of the shrubs. So just grab a little bit of this vermilion red. Just add a little bit here and there. And there's the peach, and now with the ochre, the apple green. I'm going to go back to the ochre again and just kind of blend those together a little bit more. And then add in a little bit of the meadow green, just in like the darker areas. Okay, and then blend that out one more time with the apple green. All right, so there's that. I am going to take this dark brown and add a little bit of shading to the little stick here and a little bit of the, what is this one? Reddish brown for a little bit of shading on this flag. And then again with the vermilion red for that little heart. And I think I'm going to use the vermilion red actually on the flowers. I was going to use a pink, but I think I'm going to use the red. So I'm just going to, right? No, you know what? I lied. I'm going to use peach orange, which is the color we used on the flowers up top. Just to kind of bring that pink down into here. That's what I meant to do for that heart. I was going to color it pink. That's okay. All right, so all these flowers, I'm not going to do any shading on these, just a little bit of color. And then in the centers, they'll all be brown. Okay, oh, we need to do a little bit of shading on those rocks too. So I'm just going to add this darker gray, like in the areas where she's got like the lines and the shading. I'm going to leave the rocks that are kind of in between. I'm going to leave them a little... Just going to leave them bare because they already have a little bit of color on them from the marker that we used. And this step isn't really necessary. Like, it looked fine with just the gray marker that we used. And I could have come back over with just that marker again a second time, and that would have been plenty of shading. All right, I am going to add a little bit in between, make that a little darker in the areas where I can. Just kind of outlining some things here and there. And then I'm just going to add a little bit, just going to take a little bit of this peach orange and just kind of sporadically add it to the rocks around. And then I'm going to use the ice blue on the ones that are down closer to the water. Okay. All right, and then on the water, I am going to use my white Posca, and I'm going to just draw in these little lines. That is a lot of, it's a lot of ink right there, or a lot of paint. Those are coming out awfully thick. That's not quite what I meant to do, but yeah, so I'm just trying to trace some of the lines that Klara has drawn in here. All right, so that whole area down there at the bottom is done. So we just really have to focus on this middle section and a little bit of shading on the top. I'll just kind of show you what my plan is for the top. Really simply, I'm just going to use the dark brown, and I'm going to add, turn this way so you can see. I'm just going to add a little bit of shading at the bottom of this branch, all the way across. And then anywhere where something overlaps the branch, I'm going to give that a little bit of shading as well. So anytime a leaf or stem overlaps the branch. Okay, and then I do need one more brown because I don't think this reddish brown is quite right. I think this is too red. So I'm going to grab the medium terracotta. I'm going to grab the light brown. Yeah, light brown. And I'm just going to cover up any areas where I might have missed with my marker. Yeah, so there's that. And then for the leaves and the stems, I'm going to use the same kind of color combo we've been using down here. So some of that apple green and the avocado green, definitely. So I'm going to go ahead and add the avocado in the darkest areas. Anywhere where there would be some shading. So typically you can just kind of follow the dots that she's got on here. And then blend that out a little bit with the apple green. Yeah, and that's going to be how the whole, it's going to look, I'm going to do the same thing for that all the way across the page there. So yeah, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that really quick up here. And when I come back, we'll focus on the center section. All right, so I got the leaves and the branch up here done. Now we'll just work on the center section. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my markers again for the wood part of the record player here, or gramophone, as I found out that it was called. So I'm just going to use the same brown that I used on the branches and go ahead and give this whole box a color except for the little plate here and the handle coming out of the side here. Okay, so there's that. I'm going to do this up here all in like, what am I trying to say? I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but we're going to go ahead and do the record right now too. I'm going to do the center part of that. I don't know what I want the center part of that to be. So we'll just do the record first. I'm just going to use a combination of blacks and grays. So I have black. I have, where'd that gray go that I was using? Cool gray 8. And we'll do the warm gray just to make it a little different. So I'm going to start, I'm just going to block out the areas where I know I want it to be lighter. So I kind of want a slice here and one coming out here. Okay. So then we'll just fill all this in. So I'm just layering the colors. And that works the best typically when you're trying to get like a reflection kind of thing like this. Although maybe I should have started with my black because that's gonna, I don't know that that's gonna be as dark as I want it. But I just keep layering until I can't anymore. And the other thing that I like to do is I kind of like to bring a little bit like a little flicking motion like you would do with hair or fur. And I'm just kind of flicking in the direction that the record, the lines on the record would be going. There we go. That's looking better. And it doesn't have to be perfectly black either. I don't mind having it a little bit gray. It's the Foxtrot, so it's an old record, so that's expected, right? It's expected to be a little faded. Yeah, this center section I'm just going to go ahead and do with a light gray. Okay, done with that. All right, now I do need to grab some colors. So this is going to end up with a lot of colored pencils in this video. I do need to grab some colors for the brass on the gramophone. This is going to be a combination of a couple different things. It's not going to, it's going to be like an antique brass more than like a yellowy brass. So, grab a few colors. All right, so here is my thought process. I'm going to try this combo. So I have dark brown, natural sienna, raw umber, almond brown, and blush pink. So we'll try this combo, see if I can make it look like something similar to like a tarnished brass. I'm going to start with the dark. Definitely anywhere where there's a lot of these little texture marks that Klara has already put on here. And I'm just doing a light layer in any of those spots. So I'll do a couple sections up here on camera for you guys and then maybe speed this up so you can kind of see what the rest of it looks like. But I'll do a couple sections and then we'll move on to another part of the gramophone. Okay, so these two sections here is what we're going to focus on. All right, so I started with the dark brown. Now I'm doing the natural sienna. And this is just coloring right over top of that natural brown and then blending outward from there. And I'm sticking to like the lines. I don't want to get too much in the middle because you want to reserve a little area for a nice highlight when you are doing metal. The more highlight you have, it kind of acts as how shiny or the brighter the highlight, I guess, maybe, kind of tells you how shiny the metal is. So like with a brush, like a tarnished brass, we're still going to have a highlight, but it's not going to be quite as bright. So this is the raw umber, and I'm not going to use very much of this because this is more of a yellowy brown, and I do want to have that kind of rose gold color more so for this. And then I've got almond, and I'm just going to color that completely bring this out pretty far in the center part here. And I'm going to add a little bit of blush pink as well. All right, and then I'm going to have to add in the darker colors again. These are definitely layering pencils, and you do have to think about it as you're doing your layering. Okay, so that was the dark brown, and then again with the natural sienna, which I think is probably the best color for this. Yeah, I'm not going to use very much of that raw umber at all because it is a little too yellow. It's more yellow than I was wanting. So there you go. That's kind of real time how I would color that. I might add a little bit more of the almond in there. There we go. So, all right, so let's do this next section, and I'll kind of talk you through it again. So I already have the dark brown down. I'm going to use my natural sienna. Again, remember to keep your pressure light. You don't want like a bunch of lines all over the place. You don't want heavy strokes, especially with this formula of pencil. It doesn't want to, when you push too hard, it does not want to blend anymore. All right, so I'm adding in that raw umber, just kind of right over the areas that I have already colored. I don't want too much yellow in there. Okay, and then the almond. And then some of that blush pink. All right, and then again with my darker colors, my two darker colors. So again with the dark brown, and then one more time with the natural sienna. All right, so that's how I'm going to do the whole phone part of it. And then the other ones, I'm just going to use the same color combo all the way around, using the dark brown in the shadow areas and then blending out from there. I don't know that I'll even use the raw umber in these sections though. Probably just stick to these three actually, and not use the blush pink on this either. I think that's probably what I'll do. So yeah, so I'm just going to keep working on this, kind of show you a little bit of that process. Use the same kind of metal combo on this little handle over on the side here, and the little nameplate down here on the end. All right, so I will talk to you guys again here in a second. All right, so there is the metal part of the gramophone, and then for the wood here, I'm just going to use, which ones did I use before? So I used light brown and dark brown, and that's just going to do a little bit of shading on here. So anywhere where I think that that the wood would be a little darker, I'm going to add a little bit of that in, and then just a tiny little bit blend it out, just so there's not harsh lines on here. So it's really just kind of following the lines that the artist has already put in. I might try to darken up the record just a little bit more because it does seem a little too light now, since I have this lovely wood grain all in here. All right, so there is the gramophone done. Like I said, I'm going to darken up the black on here. Still really is just coming out as like just a darker gray, but hopefully that will help some. Yeah, like I said, this is just a product of many layers. Yeah, that looks better. I'm going to use my brush to dust that off. Okay. I've got my reddish brown. I'm going to use that for the shading on here, and then this darker cool gray 8 for the shading on the rocks here. So I'm going to do that really quick. I am going to try not to mess that up. So I'm just going to cover it with a Post-it temporarily so that I don't get my fingers all in it. I'm not sure how smudgy these pencils are, but I don't want to take the chance because I have a lot of pigment on the record. Just a little bit. So again, this is just me going around and adding in just a little darker color into areas where I think there might be a little bit of shadow. I feel like that's good. Yeah, shading for the rocks now. So I'm just going to put a little bit darker gray. I'm not really going to give this much more attention than just a little bit of shading. Oh, you know what I've completely forgotten to do is the grass in the background. Normally, that would be one of the first things I do, but I totally forgot. So we're going to do that real quick because I don't want to not have that done. I'm going to grab the meadow green and the apple green. Anywhere where there's a lot of shading kind of in here, I'm just going to add quite a bit of the meadow green. And then on the apple green, I'm just going to use that to blend it out into what I've already got down with the Neo colors there. I'll do that as pretty quickly here, so I'm just going to speed that up so you guys can see what I do, and we'll be done with that and move on to the next section. Okay, that's all done. Focus on this middle section. We're good. Okay, so for the little guys here, I did use a marker earlier for their skin, and I'm just going to use this natural Sienna, and I'm going to go ahead and just cover up the record player because I feel like I'm just going to smear that everywhere. I'm going to use this natural Sienna for a little bit of shading on these cute little guys. Just anywhere where I think there might be a little bit of shadow. I'm not going to do a ton because I don't want to kind of get overwhelmed by all of that. I just want to kind of just do what I'm supposed to be doing here. We're going to grab this peach orange and give them some cute little cheeks. Yeah, and that's my plan for all 3 of them. So I'm just going to do all of their skin real quick. Okay, skin's done. And then I have these 2 beautiful pastel colored pencils from Arteza. It is A622 and A624. I'm going to attempt to use these on, let's see, try to remember which is which, see which one I like better. I think I'm going to do this for the wings. So I'm just following the lines that the artist has provided. That's the nice thing about coloring in pages where the artist just really takes their time and gives you the areas where you need to shade. Kirby Rosanis is my other favorite that does that really well. Just makes the page so much easier. You don't have to think as much. Now with his pages, it does take quite a while to get it all done, but there's not as much thinking. Okay. Yeah, I think that's good for that. I might do, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to use this light olive, which is one we used, I think, on the flowers. And I'm going to do his clothes in that light olive color. I really need to fix some of these spots. I did a terrible job with my markers on here, and I do want to make his cheeks just a little bit darker. So I'm going to try to put some of that Vermillion red right on top of the
peach that I used. Okay. His little outfit's gonna get the same kind of love.
There's that guy. Move over to this guy. I wonder what, maybe I should switch it up.
Yeah, because I can't color 3 things the same. Okay, so each guy is gonna be colored just a little bit differently. So this one's gonna have bluer wings, or wings that are more blue. That's probably the better way to say that. Okay, and then he's gonna have this kind of turquoisey color on his outfit and hat.
Okay, I need to add just a little bit on the inside of the wings. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this ochre. What is this? Light ochre?
And just a little bit on the insides of the wings.
All right, and then the last guy, he's gonna have this dark, oh, this, what is this? Light olive green.
He's gonna have that color wings. A little bit of yellow here. Okay. And then what color's left? Blue, I think, for this little guy's outfit.
I feel like that needs a little bit more.
There we go. That was a little too green. Need a little bit more turquoise mixed in. That is one of the fun things about colored pencils, is if you don't have quite the right shade, you can always add in a little bit extra. Okay. All right. I think those guys are done. And then I'm going to work on the fox. All right, so I do have a couple of different things I want to do for the fox. I am not going to do a ton of fur strokes. I am going to be using a few different pencils, and I will have to find all of them. Okay, right, we're going to start with these guys. I am going to use this turquoisey color on the eyes of the fox. Okay, and then, yeah, so for the fur, I'm really just going to use this reddish brown. I'm using the reddish brown, and I'm going to color in the areas that are supposed to be dark according to the shading that Klara has put on here. And then I'm just going to flick out from there a little bit. Yeah. Okay, so from the sides here, just adding a little bit of that color, and then just kind of flicking. Not really doing a whole lot, just a little. I'm going to use the almond brown that I have here and kind of give a little bit of texture to the white areas. And again, this is just flicking that color back into the white. Yeah, I don't really love the way the eyes are drawn here, but I don't really know what else to do with them. So we're just going to kind of leave it at that. I might blend it out a little bit with the ochre. All right, I'm going to do black really quick on the nose. And again with the almond brown. It's really bugging me not to have the fur strokes in here, but I don't think I want to do that. I kind of like it more like a cartoony fox than trying to make it a real fox, because it's not drawn realistically at all. So I just want to kind of make it as cartoony as possible. So when you do that, you have more simple blending going on. So yeah, I'm just going to do that around. Right, and then I'm I'm just going to use this warm gray just underneath the necklace here. And then like down on the bottom where it would create shadows and stuff. And probably underneath the neck here. Okay. Really quickly, we need to do the feet. So I'm going to grab this dark brown just to add a little bit of shading. I'm not pushing too hard with this one, just so we can see the variation in the color for sure. All right, I think I like that. I feel like around the eyes should be darker, but I don't want to ruin it. All right, we're just going to leave it at that. That looks okay. Yeah, all right, necklace time. This is the last little bit, and then we'll do a few embellishments with some Posca and we'll be done. Okay, necklace time. I am going to color the butterfly. We're gonna do this beautiful turquoise color for the wings. All right, and then for all of these little pearly jewel things, I'm just gonna use blush pink. And I'm going to add just a little bit of color to each one. Just like a little highlight of color. And I'm going to leave some of it white still. Darn it. I keep breaking the tip of my pencil. All right, there's that. And then I'm going to use the colors that I used for the bronze. I'm going to use that on the rest of the butterfly parts, except for the center here. So, okay, let's do that really quick. So I'm just going to add it, this dark brown, wherever I think there would be shading. Use this dark or this teal and just push hard around the outside edge of the butterfly here. And then use a combination of, what do I have? Blush pink, apricot orange, and peach orange for these gems. Blush pink in the middle. Let's do an apricot orange there and there, and the peach orange there and there. Okay, guys, I think that's everything with the color pencils, which we use all of these today. That's a lot of pencils. All right, I'm gonna grab my Posca. We'll do the finishing touches and then we'll be all done. All right, so for finishing touches, I'm really just going to outline these little bubbles here. Maybe add a few more of my own in as well to make it look even more magical. I did see one tiny little rock over here that we didn't get, so I'm just going to color that in real quick. Okay, then for the flowers, I am going to use my Posca as well on these, and I'm just going to add a little bit of a highlight to certain areas where I think there might be a little light shining on these flowers. Typically, it's going to be an area that is curved at some point and doesn't have a lot of those dots. Okay. Let's see. These little guys, I don't think I'm going to do anything there. The record, I might add just a few more white marks. Oops, that one's a little crooked. Kind of give the metal a little bit of shine, especially in those areas. Let's see, I'm going to do a couple little dots in the center of the flower along the edges of this guy. Dots on the berries. Because this is what I like to do when I do berries. I like to just have I have little lines or dots depending on how big the circle is and how much light I think that the little part of the berry would reflect. So it just kind of varies depending on what I'm feeling like. Okay, got those guys done. I might add a few white strands along the edge of my little fox guy here, just along the white areas, just to kind of make him look nice and fuzzy. I don't love that so much, but it's done. It's done. Okay. Leaves. I'm going to do a little bit of highlight on some of these leaves because these are beautiful and I really want the eye to get drawn to them. I really like the way those turned out. And then a little bit of a highlight on the bug. And the last step, I'm going to use my glaze pen, my black glaze pen, to fill in the eye. All right. All right, let me zoom you out and we'll look at the whole thing together. All right, so here's the finished page. I really like the way that it turned out. I love the softness, but it's still fall. Does that make sense? Like pastel fall. I'm going to grab and do a few little dots on the shrubs as well, just to kind of add some interest here too. But yeah, so this is the Coloralong for September. I hope you guys enjoyed it. This is my very first ever full Klara Markova page, and I decided to do it as a Coloralong for some reason, but really like it. I think it turned out pretty cool. Yeah, so if you colored along with me, please tag me on Instagram or send me an email, however you'd like me to see your page. I would love to see it. And yeah, that's it for me today. Thank you so much for being here, and until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.